Hello everyone, and welcome to Hearts of Iron 4 with Terry. This is the very first time I'm actually recording something on PC, so this is all going to be a little bit different, and if anything goes wrong during production, well, you're going to have to live with it for now until I figure this out. But I have a rather elaborate setup with my playing on my laptop, and I'm using the Elgato HD60 to capture the output, and I'm recording, compressing this on a separate PC that sits underneath the desk such that the laptop doesn't get overloaded and the fans are not extremely noisy and spinning. So I hope this is all going to work out. Again, I've never done this before, so we'll see how this goes. Anyway, welcome to Hearts of Iron 4. Now, I am, as a little bit of a preface, we're going to play single player, and I am we're not going to play multiplayer because I'm like 3 weeks into this, and I'm definitely not going to make tutorials, but I am going to try to find a mix between doing some gameplay and actually also explaining what's going on for those of you who've never seen this game before, because it is mighty complex. And I have all the DLCs because I figure I might as well. So Just so you know, this isn't just a base game, this is the game with all the DLCs that are available, and there's a fair amount of them. So there we go. Anyway, I'll try to explain a little bit of things as I go and my general thinking. Don't expect these to be tutorials, don't expect me to be correct. Expect me to make mistakes. So if you're assuming pro gameplay things here, then I'm nowhere near that yet. I will make mistakes, and probably embarrassing mistakes, but for now I am just going to try and, figure out how this all works, and we'll just have some fun together. So we are starting in the 1st of January 1936. This is a World War II grand strategy game, so we'll do everything from research, management to actual warfare, and we'll be taking it slow. So right now, 1936, World War II hasn't started yet, and we're not going to be playing as a major country because honestly it's a little daunting. There's like a lot of stuff, but as you can see, all these major countries have their different kind of scenarios and things that you could play. And there's a bunch of minor countries that have their own different feature tree, focus trees and whatnot. But I'm going to play as something completely different because this game is from Sweden. So I figured we're playing as Sweden. Now, Sweden is a generic minor country, so you're not getting an actual specific storyline to Sweden. But that's fine because we'll be making our own story. So we're going to play with historical AI. We're not going to be playing with Iron Man mode because Iron Man mode means you can't save. And while I'm not planning to save scum anything, I don't trust the autosaves. So I do want to have manual saves that I can back up and make sure that we're not like 3 weeks into the whole thing, and then my save gets corrupted and that's it. So I am going to be not enabling this, but I'm not planning to reload. So if I'm going to be making mistakes, then you'll get to see them. Anyway, let's start this as Sweden. So what's the deal with Sweden? Well, Sweden used to be an actual empire. Well, not really an empire, but it used to be one of the more powerful nations round about in the 1600s, 1700s in Europe. And the Swedes were actually, they were relatively aggressive in their warfare, and while they were not particularly numerous or particularly well equipped, their tactics were quite modern. They are occasionally credited as the inventors of modern warfare, and they were mostly around shock and awe, breakthrough, cavalry charges, these sort of things, a lot of that kind of stuff. But then, as times go by and kings and stuff doesn't work anymore, the Swedish Empire has been reduced to what it is now. So that's Sweden. And as you can see, we are in 1936, so there's a big Soviet Union over there, there's Japan over there, China still kind of is broken apart. Africa is mostly under the control of the various colonizing countries. The US exists, and the German Reich is, still without the bits of Poland, Czechoslovakia, Austria, and others, and France is still intact at this point. Right, so what's the game plan? What is the grand strategy? So I figured what we'll do here let's take stock first. Let's have a look around at Sweden, and then I'll explain what I was thinking to do. So Sweden is a democratic country. The Swedish Democratic, I'm not going to try to pronounce that. The Democratic Party has 75% of the seats in the popularity. There is a 8% on the communists, and there is a very small fascist kind of, well, political slant. And there is some non-alignment as well. But mostly it's democratic. We are on a volunteer conscription, so there's or a volunteer army, there's no conscription. We are on export focus, which means that a lot of our resources are going out to the market, but we are getting some bonuses out of that. And we are on civilian economy, so building stuff is actually, taking quite a while because everything mostly goes to people. It's consumer goods and all that kind of stuff. Of course, we are just at the onset of the game, so we're going to be preparing for war. But that is up to us, and that's the part where we're starting out with. Now, we do have some research to do. But before we do that, let's have a look at our army. Our army consists of a bunch of infantry divisions and a single lonely cavalry divisions. So we've got, 4, 11, 12 divisions all in all. We have, I think, if we select them all, how did that work? Shift select those and then put them in an army. So we have 2 generals. There's one who is a little bit, this is Erik av Edholm. He's a bit more aggressive and attack focused. And we have General Volker Högberg, who is more of a defender of that sort. So we've got these 2 generals. We do have a little bit of an air force. We have 30 fighters, we've got 12 torpedo bombers, and we've got 36 close air support sort of dive bomber things, I guess. That's pretty much what we got. And we do have a navy. We do actually have a somewhat substantial navy. So we've got a lot of these coastal defense ships, and we've got a bunch of destroyers, and we've got a bunch of aging submarines and stuff like that. So I don't know if you can hear the fans of the laptop in the background, but it is starting to pick up a little bit. But I should balance out at some point. All right. So what are we going to do? Well, like I mentioned, the Swedish used to be somewhat of an empire, so we are going to try and resurrect some of its old glory, because we do have an advantage. And if I can find it, nope, do not move off. Sorry, I'm trying to get the resource mode. Where is it? It's somewhere over here. There it is, resource map mode. So in order to produce stuff, and we are currently producing a bunch of a destroyer, a bunch of submarines, some rifles, and some support equipment. But in order to produce these, we are going to need resources. There is a bunch of resources. There's oil, which we need for fuel. There's rubber, which you mostly need for things like planes and trucks and stuff. There's steel, which is used for pretty much everything. Aluminum is, I think, airplanes mostly. Tungsten for tanks, I think. And then we've got chromium. I can't quite remember. I think that's also for tanks, maybe. But as you can see, we have, if you look here, we have a lot of resources. And Sweden was historically rather resource rich. In fact, Sweden was neutral throughout the Second World War, so the Swedes were actually supplying the Germans, even though the British had words about that sort of thing. But, they were sort of busy doing this. So we do have a lot of resources, which makes us somewhat autark in a way, like in that we don't really need to trade away a lot of our production for other things. So what I'm thinking is, what we're going to be doing as Sweden here is we're going to try and get all the Nordic countries together, because there are 2 things. We can restore the Kalmar Union from the good olden days, but in order to do that, we need to control Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. And we can have Nordic unity if we also throw Finland in the mix. So here's a problem, because Norway, if we look at Norway, is a democracy. And so is Denmark. Is also a democracy. So France and Britain, the allies, the initial allies, have the unfortunate tendency to guarantee the independence of certain countries, especially democracies, if if someone goes and tries to conquer them. Anyway, we are a democracy, and so we can't go around conquering people either. So what we are going to do is we're going to look east. We're going to look over here, because that is communism. So we're going to turn Sweden into a communist country. Now, don't laugh. I'm gonna have to quote my kid here, because he said, "Oh, so you're not doing IKEA, you're doing WeKea." Yes, we're doing WeKea. We're doing communist Sweden restores the working class utopia of the Nordic unity. That's where we're going to go with this whole thing. So which means that, of course, first of all, we're going to need to turn Sweden communist. So we've got some political handling up top of us. The next problem is going to be that, we have 12 divisions. So with these 12 divisions, we can definitely conquer Denmark, and we might be able to conquer Norway. The problem is our current supply is not great. We are lacking a lot. We're lacking some infantry equipment, and our current production, still needs to catch up. Plus, our troops are actually not great. So half of our troops are actually garrison troops. So these are 2 infantry, 2 cavalry troops. They're completely useless. They have a very low attack. They have a relatively low defense, and these are really just garrison troops. We do have a tank template, which contains just 3 tanks, which means you have no organization whatsoever. Organization is kind of, we get into the detail of combat, but you need some of that. Otherwise, your troops cannot maintain combat if your organization dies. So that's not great. We've got these cavalry division, which isn't terrible, but it's obviously also a very, very small division. And we've got the regular,
Arméfördelning.
I'm gonna have problems pronouncing these. This is not actually a terrible division. It's got 6 battalions of infantry in it. It's got a pretty good organization. It's got some decent attack and defense as well, because we do have support artillery. They do have an engineer company. These are all support companies here on the side, and we do have a cavalry scouting company with this as well. So this is not a terrible, an absolutely terrible division. So what we're going to have to do is, if we are going to be aggressive, we definitely can't do that with the garrison troops, and the rest of them is probably not going to be enough. So what we're going to the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take all these troops and put them in an army, and then we're going to change the division template and get them all to be regular infantry divisions. So this works out in terms of manpower just about. We've got 27,000 available recruits from our current strategy of conscription or absence thereof. We need 22,000 of these, but we need 5,900 guns, 126 artillery pieces, and 400 items of support equipment, none of which we have any available. So we're doing this. We see that our divisions are all severely under-equipped, so their current fighting strength is somewhere around 30%. So they're useless because they don't have anything to shoot with, which means we're going to have to produce things to shoot them with. The other problem that we're going to be having, and I haven't unpaused, the game's paused right now, I haven't unpaused yet, but the other problem we're going to be having is manpower. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to stop the naval construction here, because we're not going to be able to build a navy, because we're going to need troops on land. So no submarines or anything like that. Now I do have 3 dockyards around here. So what I can build is a bunch of convoys. Convoys are generally useful. We're just going to put our 3 dockyards just so they don't get bored. And I mean, we have the steel, so we can just build some convoys for now. We are going to run out of manpower extremely quickly. And it's going to take a while to actually change our conscription laws and everything. So for now, we're not going to be doing anything else. We are going to need artillery, though. So I am going to have to add towed artillery in the mix. We don't have, we have 1. So we've got 1 military factory on artillery, 1 factory on support equipment, and 1 factory on infantry equipment. We're going to have to do something about this, because that's not a lot. We're lacking a lot, and our troops can't fight if they don't have anything to fight with. I mean, yes, I said we're going to be doing Soviet Union style sort of things, but I'm not planning to actually go and do, do the 2-man 1 rifle. If the first one dies, the second one picks it up, sort of thing. Not planning to do that. So we're going to need some time, because we are going to need to change our Sweden from democratic to communist. Now, there are 2 ways we can go about this. The first way would be, first of all, we're going to need to hire a communist revolutionary into the government. So we need 150 political power. Political power grows a little bit every day, depending on what you're busy doing. So if you've got national focuses that you're researching, then it's less. But we're going to need to get him in very quickly, and then he is going to increase our communism support. And then eventually we get to change to communist. So until then, we've still got some time, and then we can go about this 2 ways. We can either do a civil war, or we can do a peaceful transition. I don't like civil wars, because it feels like there's going to be a lot of, you lose a lot of stability. Stability gives you a lot of bonuses. So I'm going to do this the peaceful way. And yeah, this is a whole strategy what we're going to get to in detail later. So for now, that's that sorted. And then let's sort out our research. It's going to take probably about a year to transition us to communism before we can even start thinking about attacking these guys. So, and then we still need to justify a war goal. We need to have a casus belli to actually, have a reason to attack them. We cannot just willy-nilly go and attack somebody. So we probably got about 2 years until, I'm thinking early 1938 is probably the latest when we're going to be able to attack these two. So there are 2 ways we can go about this. We can get Norway and Denmark first. The problem is that eventually puts us onto a path of collision with the Germans, because, the Germans at some point are going to try and capture Norway, because that's what they historically did. The other option is we can get Finland. Now, Finland is difficult to capture because they are actually the strongest out of the 3, and they are very good defensively. This is all forest down here. It's got plenty of rivers, which are really difficult to attack across. Like for beginnings, the border between us and Finland is a river, so getting across that border in these forests is going to be a nightmare. So that's kind of the fallback solution. Ideally, I'd like to get Denmark and Norway out of the way first, before we deal with Finland. The problem is Denmark and Norway are democracies, and the United Kingdom and France have a nasty tendency to guarantee the independence of these guys. If they do that and I declare war, then I'm getting into a collision course with the Allies, and I really don't want to be invaded by England and France when they're not yet busy dealing with the Germans. That's where, and here's my cunning plan, because I have a cunning plan, there's a world tension measurement. And currently the world tension is at 0. They can't do the whole I guarantee the independence of this country, and if you attack it we will be at war with you thing until it reaches 25%. So the secret is we're going to have to get these 2 before it reaches 25%. So timing is going to be of the essence, and then we should have enough time to fortify ourselves against the Germans and then eventually grab Finland. The fallback plan, if we can't make it in time, is to get Finland first, let Germany invade Denmark and Norway, then declare war on the Germans, and kick them out again and take it over. The problem is that the Danish provinces are not just Denmark, but they have the Faroe Islands, they've got Iceland, and they've got Greenland, which means we'd have to do naval invasions to get these back, because once Germany capitulates Denmark, they get all of these things, which means in order to get them back, we'd have to naval invade across the North Atlantic. And in order for that to happen, we would have to have a naval superiority, which isn't going to happen because I don't have the manpower or the navy to ensure that this is a thing. So not with everybody else roaming around there. So ideally, we'd grab Denmark and Norway first, and then Finland. Let's see if we can pull this off. Fallback plan is we're going to have to let Germany take Denmark and Norway and then grab Finland, or maybe we can grab Finland first and then try to invade Denmark and see if we can get it before Germany does, and then let them deal with Norway, because Norway I can take off them again relatively easily. All right, but before we do that, first of all, we have to sort ourselves out. So let's have a look at our research. Now we've got research around infantry, navy, air force, armored falls into ground troops. So ground troops, things on land, things on water, things in the air, and industry. So first we're going to deal with some engineering, because that speeds up our research. So the earlier we get that in, the better the better things are going to be. So we're going to get this 3% research speed done. It's going to take 18 days. We've got 3 research slots right now. We'll look at the focus tree in a minute. That's the first thing, and we want to boost our industry. So we're going to start with basic machine tools, which unlocks the whole rest of this tree. So this is very essential that we get that early. And we're going to go with construction speed, because the next thing we're going to be needing is factories, a lot of them. So right now, we have 9 civilian factories. Civilian factories are these things here. They make all the other stuff. So they make military factories, which we can use to produce weapons. They make dockyards, they make refineries, and all these kind of fancy things. They make fortresses and airports and infrastructure and whatnot. So we're going to need those, and lots of them. So we are going to... we do get some from trade. So you get basically factory production power from trade, which means that effectively you're producing your stuff in other people's factories. That's how you can imagine it as a... And we are trading away. We are trading away a lot, or we potentially trading away a lot of our resources. Currently, we're just trading away some tungsten to the Germans. Nobody wants our steel. Nobody wants our chromium, and nobody wants our aluminum. So we're just trading away a bit of tungsten for the Germans, and that's where this factory is coming from. So we're going to need a lot more of those. 3 of them. So 30% of all our factories go out to consumer goods. So they're just make stuff for our population to keep them happy. So we are going to need a lot more of these. We're going to build them where we have the highest infrastructure. And unfortunately, that's already full, but we can put a lot more here. And then we're just going to go down this route. We can put down 4 more here. And yep. Then that's a good start. So that's going to give us some factories. But we'll just keep them busy for now. I'm not building military factories. And you might be asking, well, Terry, you're short on guns. Right? Have you seen how many guns you need? Yes, I need about 6,000 rifles, 126 pieces of artillery, and 400 pieces of support equipment. Where am I going to get that? Well, not from here, not from my own production just yet, because I'm only making 6 a day, so it's going to take forever to backfill these things. But that brings us to our focus tree, because we have a couple of things that we can do as a nation that gives us bonuses. We can do some things around army efforts, which brings us faster research on land stuff, faster research in the air, faster research in the Navy, which we're not going to go into. So this is not going to be a naval Sweden. We have industrial effort, which gives us free military factories. So we can grab some military factories and some civilian factories down here as well. Plus, this gets us down to more research slots, which is super important because that means I can research another thing in parallel. But the very first thing we're going to do is do political effort, because that gives us 120 political power, which we're going to need to get the communist advisor into the government. So that's the first thing we're going to be doing for 70 days. And then we're going to grab him, get him into the government. And we have low manpower. Yeah, I know. At some point, we're going to need to increase the conscription to limited conscription, which gives us 2.5% of the population. We don't have an awful lot of population. Plus, we're going to need, once we start conquering stuff, we're going to need troops to garrison as well. So what I'm probably going to be starting to do is I'm going to, well, first of all, I'm going to select all these ships here. And we're going to stick them all into a navy. And then we're going to assign our admiral, but we're not going to be doing an awful lot. So we're just going to be merging all these for now, and just get them all at the same place. We also just don't have the oil, right? We don't have any oil income because Scandinavia doesn't produce any oil. We would need colonies, like down here or something, or like around here-ish or so. So we are going to need to rely on synthetic factories to produce oil for us, fuel for us rather. And without fuel, we can't really use the Navy or the Air Force or the tanks, which we don't have anyway. Army doesn't need fuel, but everybody else does, unless the army is in trucks, and then they do need fuel. So we don't have any fuel to use our Navy anyway. So for now, what I'm thinking is we're probably going to, down the road, decommission some of the really old crap and just get some manpower out of that, because we're really not going to be using them very much. We can use them for some shore bombardment here against the Danish or against the Norwegians if we need to, and then we can just keep them sitting here. But they're not also, they are really old ships. So this is like, what do we have here? We've got these, we've got these old, how do I see the design of this? There we go. So we've got some coastal defense ships, which are effectively heavy cruisers, and they've got 6 208mm guns on them, and you know, it's not great. They're not great, but you know, they are what they are, and they can do some coastal bombardment, but I don't think they are probably capable of dealing with an actual navy. So we're gonna just ignore these. Right. So what else do we need to do for now? I think we have everything on track for now. So yeah, I think we're about ready to start going. We're not going to get into any battles today because this is going to take a while, but I'm also not yet sure how I'm going to do the editing format. But this was definitely the first step of getting everybody introduced to what things are looking like. All right then. Yep, I think we've got everything set up. So we're going to increase the speed to maximum speed. The very first thing we're going to need is 150 political power to get the communist revolutionary into the government. So we'll start out with that. Our navy is moving. Our manpower is reducing. I'm not going to be starting to. Yeah, you can see there we're already losing a lot of people very quickly because they're all getting backfilled into the armies. Actually, let me have a quick look at that. What is it going to look like? No, not here. There, right. So their current fighting strength is very low. Yes, because we are lacking a lot of equipment, but they should be all good in terms of. How do I see actually what they are lacking here? Can I see this? Yeah, there we go. So they are good. They're good. They're at 100% manpower. So that's where our manpower just went. So they are at 100% manpower. The problem is, well, they don't have any. They don't have any equipment. So what we still got 5,000 recruitable troops. So we potentially could maybe recruit another one. Let's check how many. No, it needs 7,000 manpower to recruit another one of those. So I don't even have enough to recruit another one. Plus, I'm going to need troops for garrison. So for now, we're just going to leave that as is. But yeah, our production is going to be taking a while. And we do have some time to set that up. So right now, we're just going to be waiting for 150 political power. And I am just going to cut out the bits, just in case you're wondering. I'm going to cut out the bits in the middle where nothing happens because it's really not interesting. If something happens, I'll stop. All right, two things have actually happened. The remilitarization of the Rhineland. Yeah, this is the Germans are very fed up with the Treaty of Versailles and the whole DMZ between them and the French, and they're starting to, put some stuff up there. No one's really doing anything, but as you can see, this has put up the world tension to 5%, which I'm really not happy about, because that means that they are yet so much closer to the 25% magical number where they can start guaranteeing other people, which I want to avoid by all costs because I have invasions to do. So stop making everybody antsy, Germans. Okay, that's worrying, yes. But we are done with the political effort national focus tree, so that's good, which means we can now hire our communist revolutionary. Woohoo! All right. The very next thing we probably want to do is get another focus tree. Now, our construction is happening merrily, but we can only. So we've got 15 factories all in all because we're trading away a lot of our stuff here. But we are going to need, the faster we can build these up, the better. So I am probably going to invest one factory in one military factory to get the guns production up a little bit. And then I'm going to start going down here towards the research slot. Okay, so we're going to do that next. Why can I do this? Oh, I actually have to do the industrial effort for it. Yes, I'm an idiot. Yeah, so we're going to need to do that first. So this one first, and then we get a research bonus for industry as well, which is good. So we need to do that first, and then we can go down that route. Yeah, that's good. Yes. The other thing that I wanted to mention here is you can see up here this little bar here. That's the production efficiency. That's effectively how good our assembly lines are working. They're not really very good right now. they can just go up to 50%. This one, because I added it, is even just at 20%. So over time, this will increase, and we can research things to increase the cap of that. And that's going to be essential to get our equipment out, because equipment right now is our biggest problem. The convoys, by the way, I think don't require any crew. If I'm mistaken, please correct me, but I don't think they are. So I'm just producing these to have something. These are good for shipping equipment, troops, supplies, and for trade. But right now I'm not trading with anybody because I need to buy anything, because I can make most of the things myself. Right, so now that we've got the communist revolutionary in here, we are going to see our okay, what happens? Turkey is remilitarizing. Okay, that has not increased the world tension, which is good. But we are going to see you see the popularity of the Communist Party is increasing. Now, this is where the decisions come in. So we could spend some political power to prepare for the civil war, which we're not going to do, because I don't want to have a civil war, because civil war means I need to drop my stability down to 50%. And I really don't like to do that, because this increases my factory output and my political power gain. And I really like that, because my factories are, well, I only have 3 of them right now, and I really need those guns. And I don't want to deal with a very low stability and then have all the dumps from that. So the other thing we can do is open up for political discourse, which allows us to eventually have a referendum once we reach 50% of communism support. Now the problem is here, the Hilding Hagberg, who we have as our communist revolutionary in government, gives us 0.1 communism support per day. This is going to start scaling the more support there is for the communists, because, you know, at some point everybody heard it all over, heard it all before, and it's going to take a lot less. It's going to have less impact. So the first 30% are relatively easy, but then from 30 to 50 it takes forever. So we're going to reserve all the kind of boosts. There are a couple of random events that we can get that might help us here, but well, that is random. So we're going to have to see how lucky we get. But for now, the very next thing I think we're going to be doing is, now there are a couple of more political advisors that we can get. And I think the very next thing I'm going to be doing is to hire Östen Unden, who is a silent workhorse, because he increases my political power gain, which means I can get a lot of things down the road quicker. But there are a couple of really useful things down here. For example, there are like chief of armies who gives us really good bonuses on our troops. There's a military high command which gives us infantry attack and defense, which is really good. So all this kind of stuff we need. There are people who can make our industrial research speed faster, which is really important. So I think the very next thing I'm going to get is this guy, just to have him in, because the earlier you get him in, the sooner he can start paying off for his cost and actually increase our political power. And political power is very useful for almost everything, so we're going to need a lot of that. Anyway, let's forward things. Okay, whoa. 3 things. Okay, what happened? Treaties of Addis Ababa. The Italians have conquered Ethiopia. Okay, so Ethiopian government has gone into exile, and the Italians have conquered Ethiopia. And we've done with our research. So we have a quick look down here. Yep, Ethiopia is gone. It's now an Italian colony, which is unpleasant. For the Ethiopians, for everybody else really. It's not a big deal, but we do now have a free research slot, so we can keep down this route. Now, if you see that these research lanes actually have years on them, so if we are researching stuff that is ahead of time, we get a somewhat severe impact on that on our research speed. So if you're trying to be a trailblazer ahead of time in terms of research, then you are going to pay for that with, well, it takes longer. So, but this one is on time, and it gives us another 4% research speed, so we're totally going to go for that first. And then we're just going down, right now we're just going down trying to build up the industry. What I can actually do is I can assign a general to my army. So I'm going to get Erik af Edholm. He is a hill fighter, so he can fight in in mountainous terrain, so that's great. So that'll help us in Norway. So we're going to get him assigned to this army. And I am going to create an army group, because an army group can have a field marshal. Now, I don't have a field marshal, but I'm planning to promote Mr. Högberg here. I can't promote him yet because I need command power. Command power just increases over time. We have very low war support right now, only of 16%, so that's a thing. But I'm planning to get him in as a field marshal, and then all the armies that he controls get some bonus, and the army that he controls gets the bonus as well. So everybody gets bonuses, everybody is happy. But once again, not our primary concern right now. I could and probably should start training these armies, because you can see these guys are green. These are the armies that I've converted over from the garrison troops. They're very inexperienced, they have no idea what they're doing, which gives them a minus 25% combat modifier. So I'm going to start training them up to until they're trained at least, which is going to cost me some equipment through attrition, because, you know, if you use guns break. But we should have enough production eventually to get there, and I would like that to already happen, and just make sure that we are getting everybody trained up and ready to go. All right. So our next research, 25 days until basic machine tools. Well, yeah, we're going to go down the industrial route for now, and we're just fast forwarding time. We have decisions available right now. There's a bunch of things we can do. We don't want to do anti-communist raids. We want to do the opposite. We're not yet doing the open up for political discourse, because it costs 75, and all it does is enable me to then eventually hold a referendum, and we're nowhere near 50% yet, because right now we're at just at 11%. So we're just going to watch that go up and see that we can, as fast as possible, get into communism. The problem is if we wait too long, then the world tension goes too high. Second, London Naval Treaty signed. Yep, that is great. More money for the army. Yeah, we're not doing anything naval anyway, so okay. Basic machine tools are finished, so we're going to have a look there. Production efficiency caps up. So now we can do some industrial research. Now we can go for concentrated industry, which improves our factory output, or we can go for dispersed industry, which improves our factory output not by as much, but it gives us more production efficiency, and it retains if we switch factories around more, and I kind of like that better. So I'm going to go for this. It's going to take a long time to do, but we're going to get there. These guys are nowhere near finished, but yeah, we are going to. The other thing that I need, silent workhorse I need, and I definitely need early mobilization, because if you see these guys, that's a pretty hefty debuff on construction speed, and I need my industry to get up to speed. The sooner the better. So early mobilization is all we can do, because we would need 25% war support, and we only got just barely this much. So yeah, this war support means that it's not too great. But yeah, that's something we can do. We can do, obviously, limited conscription, although I'm not planning to create any more units right now, because I'm out of equipment. So once again, we're just going to watch communism rise. Rise, communism. For the workers. All right, I'll be back when something happens. All right, industrial effort is finished. So we got 100% research bonus for industry. That's great. Let's get one military factory just to get our gun production up and running, and then we're going to go down this tree here towards the extra research slot, and that'll give us also some infrastructure, some civilian factories, and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of good stuff. So we're going to do this one. Infrastructure, by the way, infrastructure has many uses. One of them being that it improves how we are able to extract our resources. So most of our resources are, where's our resource map? Supply areas, terrain, I always miss where it is. Resource map, yeah. So most of our resources are up here, where there's bugger all, and this up here doesn't have a great amount of infrastructure. So the more infrastructure we get, the faster we can construct stuff, and the more resources we get. So getting up infrastructure here is also a good thing, but first I'm going to build some factories. And we're doing the armament effort, and we're going to do construction. Construction will increase our factory construction speed by 10%, which is great. And we have 150 political power, so we can get ourselves the silent workhorse. Okay, done. This is going to, because we have now Mr. Unden in the government, we're going to get 15% additional political power. Okay, the earlier we get him, the sooner he pays off for himself. Next one, I'm probably going to do one more here onto early mobilization to get my factory speed up. But then we're going to save up political power for the government change, because we're going to need it. All right, let's keep going. And construction should be done in a second here. Okay, there we go. Construction 1 is done. And we have, we actually, remember we have an industrial research bonus. So we can rush into construction 2, or we could rush for more efficiency. But I don't really need the efficiency cap right now. Construction 2 sounds like a good thing. It is a little bit ahead of time, but it gives us yet another boost to build up our economy. So I'm going to do that. And alternatively, we could go here, but no. We're gonna do some better excavation, but I'm gonna rush the construction right now. And okay, right. Let's see what happens next. So my next 75 political power, I'm probably gonna use here just to open that up and get that out of the way, so I don't have to remember doing it. But then, or we'll do 150 first for the civilian economy, for the getting off civilian economy and get our construction speed up. Okay, so the army is training. This, by the way, produces army experience, which is very useful because you need army experience. Okay, before we do that, nationalist Spain has declared war on Spain. Oh, the Spanish have devolved into a civil war. Who knew? The Germans were going to be quite busy there and gain some experience, which is going to help them in the war. But yeah, army experience is really useful because you can use it to modify your templates. Because if I say, like, for example, I want this to have another infantry in here, I need army experience to make that happen. There are two ways to get army experience, the slow way and the fast way. The slow way is by exercising your troops or actually fighting. The fast way, well, we'll see. I have an idea. I have a cunning plan, as usual. So, but for now, the next 150 pp we're going to spend on getting off civilian economy, and then we're going to save up for the eventual change to communism. But as you can see, we're already scaling down to 50% only, so it's already slowed down by half. We're in July 1936. Okay, armament effort is done, which means we get an additional military factory. We're going to need all our military factories here for starters, but we're going to be putting that. Now, this is going to give a dent in our efficiency, but our efficiency cap is already at 60%. So the other two are catching up here with the towed artillery and with the support equipment. Guns is what we're going to need, but we'll get there. Don't worry about it. We still have some time until we actually need to go to war. So the next thing, we're going to go down construction effort in order to get more civilian factories, which is going to increase the speed in which we can build the civilian factories. We are getting a lot of factories from trade because everyone's trading with us, which means I am probably going to stick some infrastructure, especially in the areas where we're having a lot of natural resources, like up here in Lapland. So I'm going to put 2-3 infrastructure up here as a project just once these guys are done. And just that increases the amount of resources we get, which increases the amount of stuff we can trade away. So all good things, which gives us more factories if people are trading with us. We can actually, since we're here, let's be positive, and we are going to send 2 of our army divisions. We're going to prepare. We're a little bit early here, but we're going to prepare taking on Denmark. So here's the plan. Denmark is a bit of a pushover. The problem, obviously, is that Denmark is, well, there's water in between, so we have naval invasions to do. So if we're trying to naval invade Copenhagen, it's going to be an absolute nightmare because that's going to be really difficult across the strait here. So what we're doing is we're going to be taking two units out of this whole thing, and we're going to position them here. And then we're going to take all the rest of them, select all except for these 2, and we're going to position them in. Actually, we're going to take these guys, these 5. We're going to position them in Malmö, and then we're going to take these 5, and we're going to position them in Göteborg, and we are going to get these guys ready for a naval invasion. So from Göteborg, naval invade over here. Here, no, not there. That's I want them all along the side. So here, here, and here. Then we get the ports. We get the port of near Aarhus here, and we get that port up in the north. And then the other 5 down here are going to do a surprise naval invasion from Malmö. Nope, naval invade from Malmö. And you are going to invade in and around Odense. And we're going to get you to naval invade there. Right. So that means if we can take these ports. Ports are super important if you're invading, because ports mean, well, ports are everything, because ports are used for my convoys to supply my troops. So if I lose my ports, I don't get, how did they put it? Beans, bullets, and Band-Aid, which makes the troops you know, behave themselves. And then these 2 guys are just going to get a defensive line, a fallback line, just here. 2 divisions assigned, and they just there such that the Danish don't invade me. And then we can. The idea is we're going to capture Denmark, and then get ourselves settled here. Now this is all. I'm a little bit ahead of myself here, because obviously we haven't even gotten communism yet, and we can't declare war on Denmark until we're communist. But you know, we're planning early. Okay, the Olympic Games have concluded. The Germans who hosted them have won all the medals because they've probably been cheating. How's our communism support? We still got Sven Linderoth as the party. And we still haven't got Sven Linderoth as the party leader anywhere near the 50% he needs. So yeah, we are going to take. That's still going to take a little bit of time. Now we do have to once again be careful with the world tension, because the Germans are going to stir up some trouble, and the Japanese are going to start attacking China, which is going to be an issue. I can actually move my navy over here, by the way. I need my navy over there. And I need you to do naval invasion support here. That should be enough. Okay. Go there. Go. Move over there. Okay. All right. We got an event. The class conflicts divide Sweden. The communist revolutionary movement. Once a fringe popular among radical academics and troublemakers, has seen increased support among the Swedish working class. Workers unite. So they're now calling themselves a class. They start spreading Marxist ideas, and the Democrats are complaining, as they want to do. So we get 5% change in popularity, and we lose 5% stability. I am very happy to take the 5% in popularity, because that will get our popularity up to almost 28%. Now we're going to need a couple more of those, because we are going to drop. The effect scale is going to drop down significantly, relatively quickly. So we are going to need more of those events, please more. All right. In the meantime, what's our production looking like? Yeah, we still need 4,500 guns, but we're getting there. We're making more and more of those, and we are going to get our construction sped up in a second here. Once we are there, we go. We're going to switch to early mobilization, which is going to get us on, which gives us effectively 20% construction speed on these things here. So these are going to be faster, and I'm going to be starting to run these down. All right, and then the next 75 is going to go open up for the political discussions. We're not going to start civil war because, well, that'll be destructive, and I'm going to lose one of my generals, and I'm going to lose a lot of my armies. Actually, talking about generals. Oh wait, before we do that, okay, before we look into this. Let's look into this first. Communists in government. We have an election. Yes, the communists are trending. So we have now a choice. We can either get ourselves 10% communism popularity by calling for reform over revolution, or we can lose some stability and get democracy support. Why would we want democracy support? Give me 10% communism support. Perfect. So that's a good thing. Unfortunately, now, with 38%, and we're scaled down to 33%, so the effect has slowed down. But it's not even 1937 yet, and but we are going to need we're going to need almost a year to find a good reason to declare war on Denmark and Norway. So early 1937 would be a good time if we could actually manage to get, to be communist. So we can start doing that, because right now I can't even, like if I go to Denmark, I can't justify a war goal because I am democratic. So I need 100% world tension, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. But I want a field marshal. So we're going to promote Mr. Högberg here. So he's going to be promoted to field marshal. All right, perfect. And that means he is going to, I'm going to my details, he's got skills. So Mr. Högberg as my field marshal, and these skills are then applied to a degree to all armies that he's in. So if he's running out of supply, the effect are diminished because he's got the commando trait. I'm gonna give him, well, he is actually a defensive guy. So I might give him the defensive doctrine here, which gives us more entrenchment. So this is for the long game here. So I'm gonna give him the defensive trait, and I can give him another trait. Camouflage expert. Air is going to be an interesting question. I don't have the factories to build planes. I am planning to build planes, don't worry, but I don't have the factory yet to build them. So we're not going to be dealing with air right now. So right now for my second trait here, we could give them a bit higher recovery rate. Recovery is, so you're losing organization when you're in a battle, and recovery is how fast you get organization back. So that's a really, really useful trait to have as a field marshal trait. So we're going to give them that. I think it's useful. Oh, I don't have enough command power to give that. We'll do that later. We don't need it yet. This is fine for now. But so he's going to be the field marshal, and my other general here is going to take up that other one. So all my armies are currently low on organization because they're exercising, except for those that are finished exercising. And they're still lacking equipment, but we're getting there very, very slowly. Our production is slowly starting to ramp up. We're only 4,300 guns down, and we're not even communist yet. So let's just keep that going. Is any research almost done? Yeah, mechanical computing almost done. Okay, that's done. All right. So now the next research here, computing machine, would take 410 days because this is really ahead of time. So we're not really going to start 1938 research quite yet. We're going to need the radio. We're definitely going to need the radio. Let's just get it out of the way so we don't forget about it, because it gives us a reinforce rate, so it makes our armies get into battle quicker. So that's a good thing. That's all good stuff. We need to, the Swedish need to have the radio. Okay, construction effort almost done. Okay, dispersed industry is done. So what has that done for us? We could rush dispersed 2, but it's not really useful for us right now. I think I'm going to start doing some excavation, because while I don't need the resources, it gives me more for trade. Let's get that out of the way. Okay. It gives me more for trade, which might give me more factories. And right now I'm trying as much as possible to get factories and just to build more factories and to get at this. If you remember, we could only build a certain amount of civilian factories. You see? From the research, we now have an additional slot, so we're definitely going to build more civilian factories over here. Okay, more of those, more of the everything place. Okay, and I am thinking of actually also increasing the infrastructure a little bit here. Let's put 3 more in here, 1 more here, 1 more there, and 1 more there. And that this one doesn't need. It doesn't have it. It increases your factory production speed as well, but it's not super expensive, I think. So it increases all kinds of good things, like how much fuel is needed and whatnot. We're gonna get free factories anyway. All right, so free construction effort, free factory. Next construction effort. So we're rushing down that tree because I think our gun production is gonna keep ramping up. It's almost at it's still got to go up to 60%. So we still have some time, and we're making convoys in the meantime, which we don't need right now, but maybe later we're going to need them. So for now, we'll keep going. Our biggest problem right now is to get to 50%, because we're almost at 40%, and we're in October 1936. So it's kind of about time that I want to get want to get there, but we're nowhere near there yet. Okay, construction 2 is done, which should speed up our construction a little bit. And we could increase the cap still. I think I'm going to start investing a little bit in our weapon systems, because we are going to go to war at some point. So we're going to have to pick a doctrine. And I quite like the superior firepower doctrine, because it is, we don't have much manpower, so shooting at stuff. We're not going to be doing mobile warfare. And we're not going to be necessarily playing all too defensive, and we definitely don't have the manpower for just doing World War I style assaults. So this is a good one. It gives us 10% soft attack, and these are giving us bonuses for our whole army. So these are going to get really important as we go. So I'm going to start doing this one and divert a little bit of research away from the industry research. But we are going to definitely do more industry research. Don't worry. But the next thing right now is we need to open up the political discourse. This enables two things, because we're already 30th of October, we're almost in November, and we need to get to 50% communism. This enables two things. We can hold the national referendum for 100 political power, but we need to have 50% support for the Communist Party. Or we can discredit the government, which is going to cost us, which would trade some stability, which we have enough for taking 10% of the Democrats. Now, the Democrats currently hold 50%. So if they lose 10%, that goes 5% down. Some of these percents go to me. So the longer we wait, the less we get. But it's still a chunk, rather than the dreadfully slow trickle that we get out of these. So this is definitely something we may be able to use still if we need to. Meanwhile, what's my Air Force actually doing? Let's get my Air Force over. No, I need all of you. Air Force, all three of you. I'm going to need you all to help me with the Danes. So I'm going to get you all over here to Smallland. And I'm not going to build any planes. So if I'm going to exercise them now, they're probably going to crash some of them. So we'll just leave them there. But we give them some orders, just so I don't forget. So the close air support and the fighters are going to be doing air superiority, CAFs, and interception if there are any bombers. And they're going to do that over Denmark. And the torpedo bombers are going to do naval strikes if they can find any convoys or any Danish navy. And we're going to let them do it maybe over here. Can I do 2? No, not really. I can only choose one. I'll let them do it over here. I mean, I only have 12 torpedo bombers. They're not going to do an awful lot of things anyway. So just once again, things, just so I don't forget these things. We're going to have to build ourselves a spy agency soon, by the way. But actually, yeah, that might not be a... Okay, I'm going to wait. Because... So I can build an intelligence agency. Cost me 5 factories for 30 days. But of course, right now it costs me really hard because I don't have that many. But I do need spies in order to get like intelligence bonuses and all kinds of things. So this will give me a spy, which then can do some useful missions. We don't need to do that yet. We'll wait a little bit. Hold off on that one. Right now, our focus is to become communist. So we keep going here, and we're down to 25% scaling. So now it's going to take a really long time to get to the rest of it. I would say mid-November. Yeah, let's trigger. We don't have that yet. Okay, we're going to discredit the government as soon as we have 50 political power, and then we are going to save up for the national referendum, because that'll give us a little bit of another boost here. Okay, we've got 50. Trigger that, and that gets us to 44%. Okay, so that has reduced the Democrats quite a bit. So now we are at 44% support, and we need to get to 50. So hopefully we get another event. For now, we just get the construction done. What else do we need to do? The political effort. Yeah, we need more infrastructure. That'll give me Scania and Svealand infrastructure. Yes, please. I want to get to the research slot. That's what I'm rushing for. So now we're just watching like a hawk and hoping. So we're already in December, the world tension is rising, and we're still at 44% And the last 5% are going to take a while. We might go into like February, March 1937 until we reach that, unless we get another event that boosts this. But yeah, we're going to need to save up 100 political power just to keep them in the bank, such that if once we reach 50%, we can immediately switch over. And once we switch over, we're going to need to start declaring. Okay. Communists influence foreign policy. Haha, communists, they're everywhere. Under your bed. Consider themselves part of an international revolution. Yes, we are the revolution. And representatives of communist parties maintain close ties in nations which have abandoned our form of government in favor of dictatorship of the proletariat. Yes. So embrace the communist cause, which gets us 5% communism. Yes, that's what I was looking for. No, we don't want democracy. Give me... Soviet Union likes us better, and we're going to get 5% communism. Yes, please. That gets us to 50% actually. So this was quick, very nice. Now we just need 100 pp, and then we can hold the national referendum. So actually what I'm going to do once the infrastructure effort is done, I'm going to not select another one because we need a lot of political power to justify against both Denmark and Norway. And this actually costs political power. So we're going to need 100 to do the communist revolution. Come on, come on, come on. Get me to 100. Get me to 100. There we go. Okay, referendum. And that drops 5% stability, but we are now the Folkhemmet. Folkhemmet. Sweden is now turned into the Folkhemmet, the communist Sweden. So I think with that success, I think I'll stop it here for today. Sorry, it's still going to be a while until we get to see some battles. This is just really the build-up. Do let me know if I'm doing anything particularly wrong. And if you think that my plan of declaring both on Norway and Denmark is actually working. And if we can get that done before world tension reaches 25% and the French and the British are going to start guaranteeing these guys, and then I cannot move. So the fallback plan is to take Finland, let Germany take over Norway, and just deal with it. But okay, yeah, I think that's it for today. I hope you like this new format, and I am definitely enjoying this game a lot. So even if you haven't played this before, just stick with me, and we'll explore the rise of tension towards the Second World War together. That's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.